All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, today we're going to pick back up on the Chandler Halderson coverage. As of yesterday, the prosecution rested their case after 10 days of calling witnesses. The defense wasn't doing any cross-examination. The judge would say, all right, defense, you want to cross-examine? And his lawyer would go, no, thank you, with this sing-songy, confident voice, leading me to believe, are they going to try for something way out of left field? Are they going to blame it on space aliens? Are they going to double down on his fake head injury? And yesterday, the prosecution rests, and so it became the defense's turn. Here we go. They're going to unveil their big strategy. And they didn't call one witness. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Not even one. I picture his defense team in the back preparing for yesterday, just sitting there in silence, being like, we should call one, right? One? I mean, we're here just to do it. Should we figure out one witness to call? And the other one is like, who? I mean, who? None of the people that back up his side exist. He made them up. I agree with you. I'd like to do one but I don't know who we're going to call. And so no witnesses. Chandler Halderson's defense was a 10-minute opening statement, a hilarious 30-minute closing statement. One of my favorite parts of the closing statement was his lawyer said, look, even the state's table is bigger than ours. It's not fair. It's unequal. And Chandler sat there. The jury was out for 2 hours, which for 8 serious charges, that was probably just enough time for everybody to get a drink and use the bathroom and sign the 8 pages. And so Chandler is sitting there hearing the 8 guilty verdicts. You got to think he's thinking, I didn't come anywhere close to pulling this off. Because his thought process, go back, you got to think his thought process was, my parents are infringing on this life that I've concocted. I'm going to lose my 21-year-old girlfriend. Everyone is going to think I'm a liar and a loser. And so he made the decision, I'm going to kill my parents. And you wouldn't make that decision like, all right, I'm going to do it, if you didn't have some confidence that you were going to get away with it. The reason he did it is because they were infringing on this life that he's grasping to and doesn't want to let go of. Meanwhile, he's about to do something that is pretty much guaranteeing he'll never live any sort of life or see the light of day ever again. So you got to think that there was a moment where Chandler Halderson was sitting there deciding whether he was going to take out his parents or not, and he thought to himself, I think I could get away with this. I think I could do it. And that is what we are going to talk about today in this video. The video I posted 2 days ago was the couple years leading up to him killing his parents. The college that he was telling everyone he was going to, which led into the internship. Hey, good for you, an internship. Which led into the fake job, which led into the payroll department of the fake job not being able to iron out the problem to get him paid. And then he realized this is a total nightmare with the fake payroll department. I got to get everybody off my back. So he went big and said, looks like I'm going to get a job at SpaceX. SpaceX? Wow, Chandler, that's really cool. Good for you. Oh, all right, that got everybody off for a little bit. But then when it came down to the big move to Florida, oh man, this whole fake job thing is hard to this fake job thing is hard to pull off. So I think he saw his brother going through a little health issue, and he goes, that is the new direction. We're going to go disability benefit scam. So he fakes the fall down the stairs, which leaves him with a slow mind and weak legs. And I think he thought, okay, my parents figured me out. I'll get rid of them. I'll get the $1 million life insurance. That'll supplement my disability benefit scam. And all that will be in my future is video games and keeping my lies going. And And he would have been in the exact same spot, and he would have saved himself a week of grisly work stuff, truly the stuff of nightmares, if he would have just laid his parents on the front yard and blamed it on space aliens. I mean, it is mind-boggling how far he was away from getting away with any of it, not even the big parts of it. You would think you would be able to successfully hide one thing or cover up one thing, and he really wasn't. Everything was easily found. Oh, look, it's right there. And uncovered. Hey, move that. Oh, there it is. And it's hard to not have the feeling of if you were grasping onto that life so much, why would you do this and just guarantee you don't have any life forever? You know, a lot of people were commenting on the video I posted 2 days ago that they had done something similar about college, where they went to college, it wasn't working, and they couldn't tell their parents, and the lie just kept going. And if you're in that situation right now, it really is not the end of the line. I had friends that did that, got 0.0s, didn't tell their parents, and now, I mean, it's been 10 years, many different chapters since then. Everybody's figured something out. No, it really, if Chandler just stepped back a second, all it really was is, all right, you didn't go to college and you're not going to work at SpaceX. You probably spent a small fortune with the fake college, but, I mean, it really is not the end of the line. There would have been so many more chapters after his fake college attempt where he could have gotten something going, but now he will be spending a very long time in prison, it looks like. So let's get into, we're going to go through the whole thing from when he did it, his entire plan, because you got to think he put a lot of time thinking into how my whole life is on the line. I got to pull this off. I think it's the best move to kill my parents, so I got to have a plan to do it. So we're going to go through that plan, how he executed it, and just how far away he was to getting away with any of it. Okay, so first, he had to buy himself some time, and the timing of when the whole thing happened was actually on his side regarding that. It happened either June 30th or July 1st, which the July 4th weekend and festivities is right there. So he was able to concoct the story, which was pretty believable, at least for a couple hours, that his parents went up to their cabin, which I think they said was 2 hours away. There's a fun parade up there for the 4th of July. It would make sense. It's the summer. They go to this cabin 3 times a year. Why not go Independence Day weekend? And so the story he comes up with, which starts to be unbelievable, is a mystery couple. They usually hang out with, a couple different friend groups, but a mystery couple that Chandler doesn't know. They said, hey, we met this mystery couple. We're going up to the cabin. You take care of the house. You're the man of the house. Take care of the dogs. And so as everything is going, that story becomes more unbelievable, mainly because he screwed up. I mean, this just shows you how bad he was at trying to plan and pull this whole thing off. Is because the 4th of July was on a Sunday, normally the 4th of July big parade that they would have gone up there to see would have been on 4th of July, but because 4th of July was on a Sunday, they did the big parade on Saturday, which when it's all crashing down, it's just another moment where Chandler just is like, well, screwed that one up. So he picked the wrong day, but he has to have something to say to his girlfriend, his brother. Like, where's mom and dad? Have you heard from mom and dad? Mom usually texts us constantly. The mom was a big texter. Mom texts us constantly, especially when she goes up to the cabin, and I haven't heard from her. And so he has to deal with that next, okay? So that's the story. They went up to the cabin to have some fun. 4th of July weekend, they left me as man of the house to take care of the dogs. They went up with the mystery couple. They brought a bunch of cash, a bunch of liquor, And yeah, they're having fun. You gotta when you meet the mystery couple, it's the best thing to do is empty out the safe of all the cash and precious metals and head into the woods with the mystery couple. That makes a lot of sense, Chandler. And so now he has something to say when they go, "Where are your parents?" And other than maybe his brother going, "Mom would have texted us," it's a decent start to where they are. Okay, so now he also has to buy us a couple days of time to do the initial cleanup. I'm sure the house was a bloody mess. And so he buys a little bit of time with his girlfriend by saying he's grounded. I'm getting all this from the text messages between him and his girlfriend that they read during her testimony. But he's going, "Yeah, I'm grounded." What kind of 23-year-old can be grounded? I mean, he really was a pathetic case. But he's saying, "I'm grounded. My parents said I can't see you." And she's going, "What? Can I just text your mom?" Because his girlfriend and his mom had a good relationship. And he's going, No, don't text her. It'll only make it worse. But don't worry, babe. We'll hang out at the 4th of July weekend. It's going to be great. We're going to have fun. And so she wants to hang out. But he's saying, I'm grounded. Giving himself, I think, a couple days to get started on the really grisly cleanup stuff. But the thing about saying, "No, I can't hang out now, but don't worry, we'll hang out in a couple days for the 4th of July weekend." What's really weird about that whole thing is during this week where he's chopping up his parents, attempting to cremate them in the family fireplace, when that doesn't work, scattering them, hiding everyone, completely desperate, totally deranged, driving around town, sloppy. His phone's on him the whole time with GPS tracker, like totally sloppy. What was the point I was going to make on that one? He's driving around. Oh yeah, so he's saying to his girlfriend, "Okay, I can't hang out these days. I'm grounded. My parents are mad." She's like, "What? Well, you're 23. How are you grounded?" But he's setting up that he's got to be a good boyfriend. His 21-year-old girlfriend wants to have an exciting, fun 4th of July weekend, and so he buys himself a couple days and then is forced to go to these 4th of July parties. Picture his girlfriend wants to hold hands and nuzzle as the fireworks show is going off, and Chandler Halderson is probably a percentage of him is there in that moment, hugging his girlfriend, putting his head on her head. But probably another big percentage of him is the absolute nightmare that he's dealing with back at his home. And it would, I'm sure he would get short that weekend with her, maybe a little grumpy. And she was probably thinking, "What is wrong? Why, we're supposed to be having a fun weekend." He was very insecure about losing her. That's what the text messages between them really show. She's scared that she's going to get bored, that she's going to realize that he's a total loser, that he's a liar. And it's a lot of pressure while he's doing the whole, my life is on the line. I got to clean up these two bodies and all the mess and all the evidence, but also I got to be a good boyfriend and go to these 4th of July parties and show my 21-year-old girlfriend a good time. I don't want to just be this stress case and so I keep thinking in my head him at a 4th of July party eating a hot dog, looking at a firework, and then it cuts back to him in his parents' house cleaning up or sawing his dad's leg off. It really is just unbelievable. So he buys himself some time. The parents are in the cabin. He tells his girlfriend, "I'm grounded. I need a couple days, but we'll hang out this weekend." It sounds like what he did first was saw his parents up, and then I think the first plan was to cremate everything into nothingness with the family fireplace, which it's hard for me to believe that Chandler, who grew up in a house that had a fireplace. They own a cabin that he would regularly go to, which I think the main heating in that cabin is probably a wood-burning stove. So his whole life, he pictured himself as kind of an outdoorsy guy. He has fireplace experience for his whole life, thinking that that was going to work, that he could cook both of his parents into nothingness in the little fireplace and then put the wood back and a little. After he tried and it went terrible, he tried to clean up the fireplace and put like a couple logs back in and some newspaper, being like, look, it's just ready for the next fire. It hasn't been used, but the newspaper he put in was from June. It was like from a couple days before. So who opens the fireplace mid-June and puts in some newspaper? I'll use this in 6 months when I need it. So just picture that first night or two when he's trying to get rid of everything in the family fireplace. So he's sawing, he's putting everything in the fireplace. Just anybody that's barbecued knows, even once the juices from like a little steak or a couple little steaks or burgers, once those start falling in the flames, it flares up like mad. And I mean, think of all of just the flesh and body matter that he was trying to get rid of. I mean, that had to have been, and it's already a hot, humid July Wisconsin night. He's got the family fireplace on full rage, and as all of that breaks down, I mean, the fire is going to get probably pretty out of control. They said the paint is peeling above the fireplace, so maybe it was coming out. One of the glass panels is shattered. They think either just the heat of cooking that thing up to as high as it could possibly go, or maybe the fire started going too much at one point and he tried to throw water on it and the painted glass was super hot, and then when it cooled down quickly, it shattered. But just truly, what a horrific night for that. He could have saved himself all the memories that came along with that night and not done any of it and been in the same exact position that he is now. But I would guess that pretty early on he realized there's no way he was getting everything disappeared in the small little family fireplace. There was some houses' security camera footage from either like a neighborhood over or close, but not too close, but you could see the Halderson household that night, and it's like all the windows of all the houses are dark. It's in the middle of the night, and all night in the Halderson house, that the window where the fireplace is in is just flickering with this bright hell flames. And Chandler's going into the garage all night. That's probably where he was doing all of the sawing, but just truly grisly scene. Can't believe he's capable of that. It's pretty mind-boggling. So he realizes he's not going to, the whole fireplace idea isn't going to work. So after that, it becomes scatter things around. Some of the dumb moves he made with that is he put things in places he was known to go. So there's like that quintessential picture of him with the machete hanging from the tree. That tree, it's like 100 yards from that tree is where he stashed a lot of his mom. They found a lot of the saw blades and stuff. He's driving around, like I said, with his phone on, so that they were able to follow his phone, all the weird places. It's like, why would he go way up to that river at that strange time? Let's go look there. And then they'll find a bunch of stuff. And the gun that he used, just on top of everything, was connected to him. The internet friend that he had, they played video games together, gave it to him pretty recently. And the guy took a picture of Chandler's ID next to the serial number of the gun as a way to, like, I'm making a record, I'm giving this. So the gun he used was attached to him. So he's got to somehow get rid of that gun. The whole time he's doing the big chop up and clean up, he's going to the store to buy tarps and stuff, which they have him every time on camera walking into the store. There's never been a time during the pandemic where it's more acceptable to wear a mask. He just didn't. Could have worn a mask than a hat. He's buying tarps, and then they're finding those exact tarps that he bought out in a trash can with his parents' DNA all over it. I mean, he wasn't even close. And now we get to one of the probably most eerie stories of the whole thing, which I think led to him being just desperate and totally deranged when the family fireplace plan wasn't working. And on 4th of July, they went out to his girlfriend's parents' farm, beautiful, huge property. I talked about it last video. They got out there. It was like, let's walk around and enjoy the beautiful farm and scenery. And he had, his weak legs were rearing up, so he couldn't enjoy the farm. But they do a big 4th of July party, not knowing that Chandler just has a lot probably going through his mind. But they do a big 4th of July party. At one point, Chandler mentioned something to his girlfriend's mom of maybe he could come back tomorrow and use the pool to work out his weak legs because of the debilitating fake head injury. And her mom testified that she said, something like, yeah, all right. Wasn't thrilled about the thought of him coming back or didn't know if he actually would. So picture how eerie this scene is. You have this big party. She probably even forgot maybe that he had said something about coming back the next day, but it's the 5th, the day after you throw this big party where all the relatives come over, you cook, everybody watches the fireworks, and then the next day probably is pretty quiet, doing some cleaning, and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and she opens it, and it's Chandler. Hi, Chandler. What are you doing out here? And Chandler is, going on and on about his weak legs, the head injury. He just had a doctor's appointment, which isn't true, where he got some bad news. Can he use the pool? And you could tell in her testimony, the reason she was talking about it is she thought it was a little weird that he just showed up and gave her I think all of a sudden seeing him there, hi, gave her some strange feelings, but she wanted to be accommodating. I think that he gave her the creeps a little bit, but she didn't quite know why. But it was her daughter's boyfriend. He's going through what sounds like a terrible head injury. All right, yeah, go ahead. Use the pool. She was cool about it. And then she gave him, I think what she thought was enough time to change into swim trunks, give him a minute, and then she's going to go check on him. And she goes out and checks on him, and the pool is empty and covered, and there's not water on the side where someone got in. And so I think him showing up, hi, how you doing, the next day gave her a little bit of creepy feeling. And then walking up on the pool, and it's just in pristine, dry condition. It's like, what the hell? And she looks out into the field, and Chandler Halderson's car is out in the field with the trunk open. And she's looking at it going, okay, that is extremely weird. This guy that has weak legs who can barely move, my daughter has to drive him everywhere and do everything for him because of his legs. And now he's out in the woods, and his car, he drove over here, his car's out in the woods. This is weird. And then he emerges from the woods, and then is like, okay, yep, that feels better on my legs. I'm going to take off. And that was weird enough that she called the police. The police come, they find Chandler's dad's torso, and they really quickly find the gun leaning up in the barn. He tried to stash the gun in their barn. And so, just right there, that's it. Right there. That was the moment. He was not going to get away with any of it. Again, he could have saved himself sleepless nights and all the work by just giving up right there. You can't get any sloppier than that. Can I use your pool? I'm going to go out into the forest real quick and drive my car across the yard. So, yeah, my legs are feeling a little bit better now. Thank you. So just totally sloppy, Didn't give himself any chance whatsoever. The text messages. So now he told his girlfriend, I can't hang out the first couple days, but don't worry, we're gonna have such a fun time once we can hang out this weekend. But even the text messages he's sending her during that time were weirding her out. Like one night where it's like, all right, yeah, hang out, come over, we'll watch movies. And he's going, yeah, this is gonna be great. You'll come over and we'll hang out, and then you can leave late tonight and then come back early tomorrow and we'll keep hanging out. And she testifies, she's like, well, that's weird. Why would I leave late at night and then come back early in the morning? That sounds like a terrible option for me. And he's going, I got chores. I got to do chores all night. And remember, he had just concocted the fake head injury. So his mom, Chandler's mom, was like, you're not going to do anything. You're going to lay in bed. And so all of a sudden now, after pretending to be weak for however long, he's going, yep, got another full night of chores, babe. Sorry. You'll leave in the middle of the night and then come back early. I'm going to work all night again. You know me. So totally crazy. Like I said, drove around doing most of this stuff with not only his cell phone data on, but the GPS on Snapchat on. His girlfriend pulled up. They have it so they can see where each other are, which, if you think about how fake Chandler's life was, that had to have been really tough to be like, well, I'm totally open, have the GPS on my phone. And what I think it looked like a lot of the time is him telling his girlfriend, no service, can't even load Snapchat, sorry, and then he'd just be home gaming. And so he's, as you can imagine, just acting totally strange, but having to still pretend like I'm a good boyfriend, just a fun, carefree guy that anyone would want to date. And the girlfriend is very lucky, unbelievably lucky to have dodged the Chandler Halderson bullet. If he wouldn't have killed his parents, he probably would have killed her in 2 years, or would have killed someone. I think the community, that community in Wisconsin, did a very good job by nipping Chandler in the bud, because he is capable of some pretty wild stuff. Whoa. Whoops. All right. So he's got to explain the blood, right? A lot of blood in the house. Pretty ridiculous. How he explains that is he said he cut his toe on the glass from the fireplace and it just bled everywhere. That's why he had to use serious cleaning supplies. He attempted to explain away all of his parents' blood by saying that his mom gets these wild nosebleeds and she just lets the thing go. And he's like, that's believable. And his dad has psoriasis and he'll scratch that until it bleeds and then just lets it go everywhere. But he gets the place cleaned up. A longtime viewer on the last video pointed out another horrifying thing is he borrowed a Swiffer to clean up his dead parents' blood from his girlfriend's mom and then returned the Swiffer. But he gets everything, at least how it looks, cleaned up. Obviously, when you test it forensically, he didn't clean up anything good enough. The fireplace is filled with bones and DNA. Again, he didn't come close to really pulling any of it off. So, we're going through now the 4th of July weekend. He's pretending to be the fun-loving, carefree boyfriend. He's getting everything cleaned up. He gets to a point where he's got to do something with the fact his mom isn't texting him. She's a big-time texter. He needs to have something like that to give everybody, so he can tell everybody, nope, she texts me, it's all good. Give himself a couple more days before it looks really serious. So his strategy for that was to turn his phone off, text from his mom's phone to his phone so it would come up as a text message and not an iMessage to really throw the detective off of, oh, she must be somewhere where there's no service. Okay, yep, we believe everything. Good job, Chandler. So he turns his phone off so it's a text message and text from his mom's phone saying, the parade, gonna go to the parade, which he blew that one. The parade was the day before. Going to the parade, don't have service, but gonna be home Monday or early Tuesday. Love you lots. That's how she would end the text to him, love you lots. So he thought, oh yeah, if I just do that, everyone will believe me. So he sends the text message from the mom's phone. Boom. How genius is that? He was probably thinking, it's a text message and not an iMessage. It's from my mom. I'm good. Well, they were immediately able to prove that both of those messages came from their house. So the phone never went to the woods. And then he thought, all right, after he sent the big text from his mom, this will buy me time, no problem. His big plan to get rid of his mom's phone and driver's license was to wrap it in tinfoil, wrap it in a paper towel, and put it in a shoe in the garage, which pretty much like everything else, they found immediately. So they find mom's shoe with mom's phone, the big text to throw everyone off, doesn't throw anyone at all. And then another part that just proves how horrifying Chandler really is he went, finally, I think on Monday, he was saying, I was getting a little worried. He went into the police and put in a missing persons report on both of them. And then in his head, he's like, okay, I got to switch the plan now to a son that is worried about his parents. So how would someone like that act? And in his head, what he decided to do was he was going to go around to all the neighbors and ask if they have any doorbell cams or any footage of maybe them leaving. Chandler's relative told him to do this. He goes, hey, maybe. And so I don't know if Chandler did it on his own or if he heard the relative be like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that would make me look like more of a human that didn't do this. And so Chandler starts going door to door to his neighbors, and it just sends shivers up your spine. He'll go up and he'll ring the doorbell, and everybody's got a doorbell camera these days, and he steps back and he does this reassuring, I'm just a nice Midwestern guy that isn't filled with anger and horror, but this little Midwestern reassuring wave that he would do. So just be like, no, I'm no threat, come and answer the door. And a lot of those interactions are filmed because of the door, and he'd ask these people, like, do you have any, do you have a doorbell camera? And they're like, yeah, we do. We have a camera like over here too. And he goes, oh, well, he didn't, they would say like, yeah, we took the footage, we talked to the police already, we gave it to the police. A couple of his neighbors said, yeah, we gave and he wasn't like, oh, great, thank you so much. That's what I wanted you to do. That's why I'm going by. I was hoping you'd just give anything to the police. We're really working hard. His reaction to that, instead of being like, oh, thank you, you gave it to the police, that's what I'm here to ask, he would be like, what does it show? What is it? Like, you could tell and I think it gave some of the neighbors the creeps. I mean, imagine you're seeing these police cars standing out in front of the house for hours the days before the lead up. You're hearing that your neighbors are missing, and then their creepy son shows up. That's what's nice about having a guard dog. I would have had Walter right there barking at him in between me and him in the door, just letting him know what time it was. And so he's going door to door going, do you have any cameras? What do they show? And so he does that. Some friends, really good friends of Chandler's parents that knew Chandler since he was a kid, thought, we got to go over there. It's probably tough on Chandler. His parents are missing, and they go over there, and Chandler was being so weird and so creepy that Chandler's parents, longtime friends, the wife, she was so creeped out by him that she had to get up, leave the room. Just everything he was saying, she was saying was sending off alarm bells in my mind. So at one point, she was so creeped out, she went up and purposely put herself between the door and Chandler. I mean, you got to be careful. If all of a sudden someone, people are missing and it's not looking good, be careful being around their family, because you never know how desperate and deranged someone is at that point. And at that point, he is brought in. It ends with he's brought in on that Tuesday. So it's been 8 long days of a grisly cleanup, driving all over the place, going to buy tarps, trying to cleverly get it all worked out. And then he's brought in for an interrogation on the 8th day. And for an hour and 36 minutes, they let him tell his story, which would have gotten out a lot faster, but he's really playing up the slow mind from the fake head injury. And he's going, what? Where are we again? And they're just letting him go. We're on Sunday night, if he would just keep going. And he's telling his totally unbelievable story. Goes for an hour and 36 minutes. And then they bring down the actual hammer. And they say, all right, Chandler, we've been listening to this for a while. We took 20 pages of notes. Now it's time you start over and you tell the truth. We know that your parents are no longer with us. And we know that you know. So now tell the truth. And he's going, and he's having to act like he's got the slow mind on top of the actual feeling of the hammer being brought down, because they didn't put in any pressure for the whole. He thought he was just gonna, and that's when that happened. And then I don't know, they went to the cabin and he's sitting there just going like this, and now he's trying to interject on, no, what happened to them? And the interrogator's just cutting him off, going, no, listen, now you tell the truth. And Chandler looks like he's gonna shit himself, and that's it. They arrest him. We saw the trial. I was thinking, as lazy as Chandler is, maybe he'll get along in prison okay. He'll have to detox from video games for a couple days, but as long as he doesn't have to give his celly regular blowjobs, he might fit in just fine. He can just lay there if he wants to. But anywho, I'm going to cut it off there. What a wild one, folks. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Why? Shavin' why? Shamida.